Joe Grizzly, bitch.
What up, Militia? I mean Joe Grizzly. And when I'm not being forced into a submarine and then dropped into an ocean of blood, I'm at the Grizzly Cave, watching the review of movies while, of course, crushing beers. And I am back at the Grizzly Cave to bring y'all the directorial debut of YouTube's Markiplier, Iron Lung. Does Markiplier join the success of recent YouTubers jumping into the horror genre, or does he crash and burn? Let's find out. This is Grizzly Grade Reviews. Iron Lung is a story of a convict who is forced into a submarine and sent down into an ocean of blood in order to uncover its secrets and the horrors that await him in order to secure his freedom. And just to clarify, I did not know who Markiplier was. I knew that he was some big YouTube sensation. I didn't know that he was as big as he was. But this apparently is his directorial debut. And this movie is based on a very small budgeted video game of the same name. And with the success of other YouTube creators jumping into the horror genre like the Philippou brothers and Chris Stuckman, I was pretty intrigued to see what Markiplier was going to bring to the table. And then I found out that it was based on a video game, and that had me even more intrigued. So starting off, the biggest positive about this movie is that Markiplier deserves a lot of praise. And the reason why is because he co-wrote, directed, starred, funded, and distributed this movie all on his own. He didn't receive any kind of crowdfunding to my knowledge. He didn't have any studio help with distribution or with making the movie. He did all of this with his own money. And that's something that is very, very, very commendable. When you have the means to do things like that, to bring your vision together with your own money, you don't rely on anybody else, it's something that I'm always going to commend, because God knows I wish that I could do the same thing. And if I had the means that he had, I would 100% do that. I wouldn't rely on anybody. I'd want everything to be self-made and everything to come directly from me. So everything that is in this movie is his vision and his vision alone. And he plays the lead in this, and he actually does a really good job. He's not delivering this Oscar-worthy performance, but he's delivering a pretty damn compelling performance. He does a good job of conveying all the emotions. Even though he is playing kind of a one-note character, he does a good job of portraying the I don't give a shit about what's going on, to the horrifying nature of what's going on around him, to him kind of losing his mind and going insane. He does a phenomenal job of doing that. For someone that I don't know is a experienced actor now, I don't think that he's ever acted in anything other than his own YouTube channel. And just to see someone that jumped in with both feet and did such a good job, it was another thing that is very commendable. And I had to do a lot of research on this concept because I have never played this game before. But after doing research, watching videos of people playing the game and everything, he absolutely nails this adaptation. From the set pieces, to the lore, to the story, to the sound design, to the way that the movie plays out as far as like the mechanics and the dynamics of the movie and what the actor does throughout, he absolutely nailed it. He delivered an almost perfect adaptation of this game. And that's something that I'm always going to praise, is accuracy to the source material in whatever medium we're experiencing it in. If you got something that is so beloved or something that everyone likes, I'm always going to commend people for trying their best to be completely accurate to that experience and to that material. And for the budget that he had for this, the sets look incredible. They look just like they do out of the game. He did a phenomenal job of making these sets look almost identical to what it is in the video game. There's even a moment, or there's even like this thing that happens in the game. It's a game mechanic where there's no windows in the submarine, so the only way that you can see is by going to these different coordinate parts with this control panel, and then on the back of the submarine there's a button that you hit that takes x-ray pictures, and those x-ray images were really cool to see how it lights up the environment and gives us an outside look into what's going on in this ocean filled with blood. All the environment, the creatures that reside in it, I just thought that was very well done. And I really enjoyed the little bit of lore that we get for this universe. I think that it is very intriguing. The whole lore is allegedly there was this event that happened to where everybody, it's in the future and everybody are living on space stations, and out of nowhere, all the planets and the stars and everything in the entire universe disappear. And the only thing that's left is this moon that is just an ocean of blood. And it was really interesting to hear about that. And then it gets even more interesting when you find out that when he is diving in this submarine and he can't see anything, that there is a monster down there with him. And we don't really know the nature of this monster. We do get to see it in some capacity throughout the movie. And it is a very, very terrifying looking creature. It's like one of those deep sea fishes that you see that just look like something out of Lovecraft. And that's the other thing. This is a very Lovecraftian type horror film that has all these higher level concepts that our brain can't really process because the beings are allegedly on this different plane of existence. And I thought that all of that was very interesting. And moving on to the negatives, and unfortunately, this movie just wasn't for me. This is a movie that is a one-room movie. And what I mean by that is it takes place in one location the entire time. And it is within the control room of this submarine that Markiplier's character is in. And unfortunately, you have to be very, very good at crafting that narrative and crafting that film around that. Otherwise, you lose people very quickly. And unfortunately, I don't think Markiplier was able to do that. And a lot of the reasons why I believe that it doesn't work for me is, although I appreciate that he incorporated those game mechanics and how the game actually is into the movie, those mechanics don't translate well to film. In other words, everything becomes very repetitive. Certain shots are done over and over again, where we close-up shots on this speaker where he communicates with the people who put him in the submarine happen over and over again. Him getting up from the control panel, hitting the button to take the x-ray images over and over again. Just close-ups on the instruments that he controls the sub with. All that happens over and over and over again. And it's a lot of monotony, and it's one of those things that I just don't think it translates well to film. And along with that repetitiveness comes the ridiculous runtime that this movie has. This movie is over 2 hours long. And just like with I was explaining before, if you're going to make a movie that takes place in one location, in one room, you can't have a long runtime, because I felt every minute of this movie to the point that it made the movie a somewhat miserable experience. And I mean that in the most least offensive way possible, because I do think what Markiplier did here was great. I just think from a filmmaking standpoint, this movie did not have to be this long. This movie would have actually worked perfectly if it was 45 minutes, even less. And I understand that was not his vision, and it's not something I'm trying to shit on, but you really have to do something different in order to hold people's attention when a movie is 2 hours long and it takes place in one room. And that leads to the repetitiveness that I was talking about earlier and a whole other host of issues. I also think that the movie itself is too dark. There are moments where you cannot see shit in this movie. And I understand that might be an effect that he was going for because of how it is in the game, but it also makes for another negative experience because I don't know what the fuck is going on because I can't see anything. And that's unfortunate. It gave me a lot of AVP Requiem vibes, where there's stuff going on there, but I can't see shit because the set's just way too dark. I love the lore that the movie has, but I felt like the lore wasn't fleshed out enough to keep my attention. I don't think that the lore was out there enough to where I'd want to see more of that. So let's say that he wanted to do a sequel. I don't think I would be interested in it because I didn't get enough lore to hook me in to go and see a sequel to this movie. And that also plays into the last negative I have, where this movie has almost zero rewatchability. This isn't a movie that you can throw on at any time and enjoy it. It is a movie that is the definition of it's a negative definition of a slow burn. And that's something that was just very unfortunate for Markiplier. I don't think that this was the right game for him to adapt. And it's probably a pure passion project for me. He probably really likes this game. And I completely understand that. And who am I to talk negatively about someone's vision and someone's passion? But some things just do not translate well to screen. And I feel like taking a game that takes place in one room really affected this movie. And going along with that runtime, it just didn't work for me. It kind of gives you the same experience you have if you're not a Five Nights at Freddy's fan, but you go see Five Nights at Freddy's in the movies. All the little Easter eggs and stuff that the movie offers for the fans is lost on me. And that's not Markiplier's fault that I haven't played this game. But as a filmmaker, you have to do something in order to bring in people who have not had that experience before. You have to rope them in. And like I said before, he did a little bit of that with some of the lore that he gave us, but to me, it just wasn't enough, unfortunately. So if you're a Markiplier fan, you're probably going to love this, but if you're someone who is unfamiliar with him and just a moviegoer, you're probably going to respect what he did more than you're going to like the movie. So with all that being said, Iron Lung gets a 2.75 out of 5. If you're a Markiplier fan, go check it out. If not, and you like really slow burn movies that take place in one room, you might enjoy it. It just wasn't for me. Do it for this video. Thank you all so much for your continued support and patience, and without y'all, this channel isn't possible. And if you like this video, like it. If you like it enough, please head over to the channel, hit the subscribe and bell button so you never miss a video. Also, please follow me on all social media platforms so you can get channel updates, movie news, and all forms of badassery. Click right here, you'll get my review of Send Help. That's my latest review before this one. If you click here, you'll get all of my Grizzly grade reviews so far. Stay tuned for the next one, and remember, I'm Joe Grizzly, bitch.